Hey there, friends. As the media works diligently to not only cover up but hide any evidence of the Trump assassination attempt, my videos may not be quite so focused on that going forward. However, I will commit to you at least covering this at least once a week to let you guys know that I'm not letting this go. We are not getting the answers we're asking for. Our representatives and our senators in Congress are not asking the right questions. They're not demanding answers. So I'm not going to let this die. That's what they want. They want this to go away so that everything returns to normal and no one has to answer the difficult questions. I'm just not going to let that go. In fact, something bothered me a few days ago with the testimony of Ron Rowe. That's the acting Secret Service director. And let me tell you what bothered me about it. Let me play the clip first, and then I want to see if you caught the same thing that I did.
It is troubling to me that we did not get that information as quickly as we should have. We didn't know that there was this incident going on, and the only thing we had was that locals were working an issue at the 3 o'clock, which would have been the former president's right-hand side, which is where the shot came. Nothing about man on the roof, nothing about man with a gun. None of that information ever made it over our net.
Okay, he says that he didn't know that this thing was going on, meaning Crooks. Again, throwing local, state law enforcement completely under the bus, as he did throughout his entire testimony. But again, under oath, he states that he didn't know that there was something going on. Follows that up immediately with, we only knew about this incident that they were working at the president's 3 o'clock. The way the grid is designed whenever there's some kind of a detail like this is whomever the protectee is, in this case President Trump, wherever they're looking out to, like this is on a flat plane, whatever they're looking out to is 12 o'clock. Directly behind them is 6 o'clock. To their right directly is 3, to their left directly is 9 o'clock, like a clock, right? That way they're not saying left and right and people are going, who's left, who's right? It lets you know that based on where that protectee is, that's the center of the clock and everything else goes out from there. So you always know what they're talking about when they say that. So this guy says in literally one breath that we didn't know anything was going on except that they were working something at their 3 o'clock.
We didn't know that there was this incident going on, and the only thing we had was that locals were working an issue at the 3 o'clock, which would have been the former president's right-hand side, which is where the shot came.
Now let me play you the video that came out yesterday. At Trump's right. Let's see that again.
We didn't know that there was this incident going on, and the only thing we had was that locals were working an issue at the 3 o'clock, which would have been the former president's right-hand side, which is where the shot came. Nothing about man on the roof, nothing about man with a gun. None of that information ever made it over our net.
So the guy didn't know there was anything going on, except the fact that something was happening and they were working something at Trump's 3 o'clock. First of all, lying under oath is perjury. That is a felony. This guy literally contradicted himself by saying he didn't know anything was going on except for working something. That's something going on. And to act like if they didn't know anything about the guy had a gun, just look. Just look. Look over there. Look where? Look at the 3 o'clock that you just told me they were working. I'm not asking you to look at the 9 o'clock or the 12 or even the 6. The 3. Where everybody, including Stevie Wonder, can see this dude on top of a building without magnified optics. We're looking at it from a camera phone behind the president. And we can see this dude breakdancing, square dancing on top of a freaking tin roof. In fact, he's even running on it at the beginning of the little video. Tell me that's not making a sound, right? Every time something comes out, every single time, it looks more and more and more like a cover-up. And as I stated the other day, I'm not saying, and I'm not saying either way, I'm not making an emphatic statement about what my thoughts are at this point. What I'm telling you is what I recognize and what I see. I'm giving you pretty much, this is what I'm looking at. If you continuously lie to the American people, even under oath, and especially under oath, if you lie to the American people and everybody else asking your questions, you know what they assume? They don't really assume that you're stupid, because they assume you got into this position, you had some kind of credential. And trust me, I'm going to give this guy a little bit of credit. He's a white male. He probably had to work to get where he is. Now, he might have worked on his knees a little bit, if you know what I mean. I don't know that. But he more than likely worked more than Betty Crocker, who we saw the other day, who's the one who scoped out this area and told them that that building did not need to be in any kind of a protective detail. So when this guy lies, we don't think that he's stupid. We think he knows the truth. We think he doesn't want us to know the truth. Because why else would he lie? Because he's clearly lying. There's no way these people can tell me that none of these counter snipers, and not only just the counter snipers, anybody else there with any kind of responsibility for protection, did not see a guy breakdancing on top of a hot tin roof. You can't tell me that and expect me to believe that. In fact, you have people just on the side of it yelling, "He's got a gun. There's a guy up there." Every single thing that they're saying, claiming that they simply didn't notice, is a lie. Because they knew the guy was up there because everybody was telling them. They knew the guy was up there because somebody had already sent them pictures, and because somebody had already said, "We lost sight of the guy," and then people are yelling, "He's on the roof." We even heard them yelling, "He's got a gun." The president was never, the former president was never told to leave the stage. In fact, if you did not want to send everybody into a panic, you could have gently escorted him off the stage and said, "We have something we need to attend to," or let the man kneel down behind that protective barrier that he's behind. You did none of that. I hate to use this cliche, but I'm going to have to. You had one job. Your job there was not to make sure that there was enough soft drinks for everybody. Your job was not to make sure there were enough chairs for everybody to sit down. Your job was not to make sure there was shade in case somebody got too hot, they needed to get in somewhere. I even heard the excuse that this guy made, that one of the reasons why they were kind of overburdened that day because they had people they were tending to from a medical standpoint that were getting hot. Really? Since when did the Secret Service and counter snipers tend to people who got a little hot and needed to get in the shade? Again, all BS, all bullcrap. These people are lying to us. I'm going to put a link in the description down below. And it's going to be a link that's going to take you to a broader page for Congress. You guys go there, you select whoever your congresspersons are or your senators. Send them an email, send them a message that you do not believe the people who are lying to you right now. Let them know that we're not okay. We're not satisfied with the answers. We want an independent investigation, not one conducted by the FBI, not one conducted by the Secret Service, and not one conducted by the ATF or anybody else. If it's a three-letter agency, no. We want an independent investigation by a third party, an outside group. The government throws enough money away, we can fund an independent investigation into this. Get a board to help select the various people if you need to, just so you feel like you have some control. But it has to be a third party. It cannot be somebody who receives a government paycheck in any way whatsoever. The only person involved should be the one writing the checks to these people, which again, they're you lose accountability there, because then that guy's the bean counter and he can call in favors. But nevertheless, it can't be an agent of the United States in any kind of way. And that includes congresspersons and senators. They can have oversight into the investigation, but they should have zero control over any of it. I mean, they shouldn't even be sitting in on the investigation. The investigation needs to happen outside of the purview of the United States in every possible way. They need to arrive at their own conclusion without telling anybody what they found, and then come back in a public setting and a televised setting where we can all see it too, and disclose, this is what we found. These are the names of the people involved, and these are the questions that we simply can't answer right now. We need some answers. They need to have full subpoena power. They need to be able to call anybody in that they want to and talk to them. If you want to redact their little names and all that to protect them so that nobody calls them ugly names or whatever, fine. Do whatever you have to do. But everybody that can be called in needs to be called in. I'm hearing this guy constantly state that the person, this is so funny to me, and I uncovered this 2 weeks ago. I'm proud of this. The person that Josh Hawley was talking to them about who made the decision not to have that building inside the perimeter needing the necessary guidance or oversight, was the forward person that went to investigate the site. Well, I just happened to have found 2 weeks ago the video. You have to dig a little bit, but I found it. The video of, guess who? Remember the chick, Betty Crocker, who could not reholster her weapon whenever they were trying to usher Trump into his SUV? Remember that chick? Okay, that DEI hire was the one that was the forward person responsible for setting up the security. Hawley even confirmed that when he said that it was a female that was in charge. They didn't want to give her name. Why? Because this director said that person is still responsible for setting up security and for helping with this investigation, so we don't want to let you know what their name is. And when they use the pronoun their, we know they're talking about a female, because they would say his name if it was a guy, but they said their name. So we know it's this person. Again, Hawley said that it was actually a female. So we saw the video. We don't need you to tell us who was out there scoping out the area and making recommendations for the perimeter and not being in the perimeter. It was Betty Crocker. We saw it with our own eyes. So we know where the inadequacies are. These people are never held to account, and they don't want to discipline this person. I'm going to repeat this again because I said it the other day. There's a reason why these people at the top do not talk about the ones screwing up, because the ones who are screwing up know what people like Roe have done. And they're the kind of people who are like, really? I screwed up and you want to terminate me? You want to put my name out there, Mr. Roe? I'm going to be the next whistleblower that you read about tomorrow in the headlines. You throw me under the bus, I throw you under the bus. That's why these people don't do that. It's not because Roe wants to be all noble and say the buck stops with me. It's because he knows if he puts the person responsible, which probably includes him too, but if he puts the person at the front line like Betty Crocker in the spotlight and says, that's who made that decision, Betty Crocker's going to turn around and say, fine, Mr. Roe, guess what this guy did? And throw him back under the bus and reveal all the nasty and dirty things that he has done in there. Folks, you cannot convince me after seeing this video that nobody responsible saw this. There were likely people in the audience who saw this guy breakdancing on top of this hot tin roof. You cannot tell me people who knew there was a potential issue or threat at their 3 o'clock did not notice this guy cutting backflips on this frickin' roof 2 minutes before Donald Trump was shot in the side of the head.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's over.